The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Good afternoon and welcome to Chatting with Jocelyn. We had a couple weeks off, but I am so glad to be back, and I think you're going to be really glad that I am, because you know how I raise your blood pressure and I make everybody's tempers flare, which is something that we need. Tempers, as long as they're in check, is a good thing. We need to be questioning everything that's around us, everything that's going on. We need to be paying attention to what are our candidates doing, what are our politicians doing, what is our government doing, what is our government not doing, and what are we supposed to be doing? Because we're supposed to be doing a heck of a lot more. Testified for the first time in my life last Thursday. Got asked 10 minutes before, okay, I'll do it, I can talk. Not always the brightest bulb in the box, but I do my best and I surround myself with very smart people. But I did testify. I think I made a big difference. I went on Monday. I always go to the deliberative meetings, and I was asked to leave. So that's going to be a blow-by-blow over the next couple of weeks, months, while I fill you in with what happened. But in the meanwhile, I have my really good friend here, Julian Acciard? Acciard.
No
sorry.
problem.
Acciard. And we're actually gonna light this studio up a little bit. We're gonna talk about issues and events that are happening, the GOP and the politicians and the campaigns and our Constitution and people pretending to be something that they're not.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. And in full disclosure, we were all just, this has been a crazy week for all of us. So you'll have to forgive us if we get a little hot under the collar. So let's jump on in. As I said, I testified for the first time in my life on Thursday. It was very interesting. I have to say my impression is that's a bunch of legislators, a bunch of people. Yep. I'm not even going to call them legislators because they didn't come off as professional or anyone interested in what 30, 40, 50 people in that hearing room had to say. It felt very much like a punishment for them, that they've already made their decision. They know what they want to do. And
now, which piece
so
was
this was the legislation on the voter integrity.
Oh, okay, yes, I remember. I was at the State House for the one regarding requiring people to be citizens of the state and of the country.
Oh, with Daniel Richard. Yes, that was Monday.
Voting. And then I was at the other one regarding vaccine mandates.
Yes, so I was
the doctor
in between the two.
Bill Marsh completely ignored everything that we know about the virus that's come out from the CDC, and he chose to cherry pick data using articles from Washington State and so on. I love when people do that because we've been referring to CDC data and it's you have to follow the science. Your own data organization, your own medical organization said that these do not work.
Correct.
That the vaccines do not stop the spread.
Correct.
That
they don't prevent getting.
They don't prevent you from getting it, which means it's basically relegated to an intense therapeutic. Now, I don't have a problem with people getting vaccine. Choose what you're going to do. Talk to your doctor, make the right decisions and everything. Because I'm for freedom and liberty, which means government should not be mandating choices.
Correct.
But the fact that people are ignoring data, and then there was a doctor from Texas. She is a pediatrician, has a very large practice. Well, small by comparison to big corporate practices.
Right.
But, for a pediatrician, she has a pretty decently large practice. She went over all the data and how the masks are affecting people, how the vaccines are affecting people, the things that she's seen, and so on and so forth.
In her own practice that she's dealing with herself.
And she's been censored.
Yep.
And my issue with this is politicians have ruined our ability to look at something so simple as scientific data. It says what it says. Now, the narrative or what Fauci recommends can be in line with the data or contradictory to the data.
Correct.
Now, my issue was, you're a doctor. Your job is not to weigh in the political risk and all that stuff. You're not supposed to be weighing in what administration you're working for, how people feel and all that. It is, the data says this. Based on what the data is saying, this is the course of action that is in line with the data.
Right. This
Now,
is what we recommend.
Politicians
Yeah.
balance national security, economic implications, states' rights, individual rights, and all that stuff into their decision of how are we actually going to deal with this.
Correct.
But instead of doing that, it's been flip-flop and politicians go, I want nothing to do with it.
Follow
buck.
the science.
Oh yeah, follow the science. What is the science? Dr. Fauci, I am science.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, I almost went into my Trump voice for a moment. But I'm like, you're not science. How arrogant can you be that you actually say, I represent science. I am the science. No, you're a little man with little man syndrome.
Correct.
I bet he drives a red Corvette too.
He probably does. I did notice
That's not a
that
bash
that
against
he's got
Corvette
better
guys.
nails than I do. Just putting it out there.
Hey, the guy primps himself a lot. He's on TV.
Yep.
He's on TV quite a bit. So, I mean, he's
Not
got
as
a
much
primp.
as before, but, And the other thing, follow the science. Well, the politicians and the ilk of Fauci have totally destroyed the public's trust
Yeah,
in the medical world.
yeah.
We never
withheld
trusted Big
information.
Pharma to begin with.
No.
But we
It was
thought
actually weird to see so many people who have never trusted Big Pharma. Both sides of the aisle have been
Line
trashing
up.
Big Pharma for decades.
Yep.
All of a sudden, everyone jumps on their bandwagon and goes, oh my God, this is the only possible solution. No, that's not how it works. You walk into a doctor's office and there are a myriad of
Choices and ways to
to
treat
take
you.
care of a situation.
Yep.
You don't use just one facet. You use early treatment methods. You use different, because everyone's body chemistry is different.
I was just going to say, one size does not fit all.
Exactly.
It does
works
not.
the same way with every single situation, whether it's a virus, whether it's education, whether it's, my
Security.
ability to drive is
Yep.
different than somebody else's ability to drive. My ability to provide, to return fire in a chaotic situation
Is
is
different from
better
some.
than most people's, because we were all different.
Correct.
So approaching it with a one-off universal government approach is not how it should work.
And that's what we're looking at from bottom to top. We can talk about right here. We're looking at Nashua, and there are a couple of lawsuits out there, a couple of federal lawsuits, because no elected official has the authority to suspend public health laws. Doesn't matter what a scaredy cat you are. And when when our own CDC says masks are not.
And I want to predicate this. Doesn't matter what your degree is either.
No.
Doesn't matter what Ivy League school you went to. The appeal to authority does not make your argument in contradictory of fact all of a sudden more relevant.
Right.
No. If the facts prove that you're wrong, quoting your degree proves that you don't have a leg to stand on.
Correct.
So you're hoping I'll back down when you flash
Right, when
the
you
sheet
say,
of paper.
I'm from Harvard. Yeah, we don't care, because I'm from the school of hard knocks. I'm from the school of, my mom used a wooden spoon on my butt when I was bad.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that generation,
I'll fight any dude. I'll fight any dude on the planet. I am not scared of getting knocked out. I'm not scared of losing a fight. I'm scared to death of my mom.
you're not
scared to death of
kidding.
my mom.
Don't mess up with your mom. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
We
don't
I
have-
know you're a Marine and my son's a Marine, and I remember the recruiter going, don't mess with your mom. You mess with your mom, you're in deep trouble.
Oh, no, my mom, I don't know. I can't remember what it was about, but I remember my mom somehow got a hold of my command and chewed them out. And then I got chewed out because my mom called them. I was like, why would you ever call my command? For the life of me, I can't remember why, but I remember it being a very scary experience for everyone involved.
Oh yeah, I bet it was. So So that was my first experience testifying. I found them to be totally oblivious and I don't want to use the word uncaring, but didn't give a rat's patoot that any of us had anything to say, that we had done our homework. They had made up their decisions. You could see it on their face. And, you know, the thing that, the buzzer, you know, that timer, that stinking damn timer. I know you can't give everybody 10 minutes, but those people are there for a reason. You know, no, we don't pay your salary because you get $100, but oh, by the way, I'm pretty sure you're compensated somehow else. We've spent the time to go there. We've done our research. We're passionate about what we want. And oh, by the way, legislature, you work for us. Contrary to government dictates, you work for us. The whole power, you know, triangle is upside down. It's we the people tell the legislators in the state what we want, and the states have a compact, social compact with the federal government. It's not the other way around.
As long as it's within the confines of the Constitution and state Constitution.
Correct.
And this is the power dynamic that people they mistake. That by electing people, we're giving them power to lord over us, to rule us.
Right. To make decisions for us.
It's not how it's supposed to work.
No.
They ran on a platform. You elected them to follow a platform. When they go to the State House in Concord or to DC and they don't follow their platform, they're a liar.
Correct.
And we have people who they run their campaigns based on lies because they know
They
damn
say
well,
what you want to. They say what the people want them to hear.
They say exactly. They're used car salesmen.
Yep.
We're the buyer and they're the used car, and then they break down 30 miles later, and you're going, oh well, crap. We have no lemon laws.
Yeah.
Which is basically what we're dealing with. We have people we can't get out of office because once you're in, it's hard to get you out.
Well, the other thing is that's been going on for the last year is, you know, call your representative, call your congressman, call your senator, call your this. In the state of New Hampshire, we've got your email box is full. That, you know, there's no more room in the voicemails. They're not answering the phones. They're not answering their emails. They're not answering faxes.
But you know, we do have a better system than almost every other state because we have so many state reps and each state rep represents like 3,600 people. I know where you drink beer. I know where you go to get your hair done. I can go meet you there. If I really need to talk to you and you won't answer your phone and you won't answer your email, I can just follow you from place to place until you decide that you want to have
a conversation with me. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be irrational. It doesn't have to be confrontational.
Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's sit down. Yeah. Because I would say probably most of us agree on 85% of the subjects. Might even be higher.
There's both a misunderstanding with the average citizen on what politicians can actually do. And if you're a principled person and you follow the Constitution stuff, there's a lot of stuff people ask you to do that you can't do.
Correct.
And there's processes that you can't deny and you have to follow. So I'm realistic about that. That's why when people say, well, what are you going to do about this going on in Manchester if you go to DC? I go, nothing.
Nothing, because I'm
a federal legislator. I can't make law in New Hampshire.
Right.
What I can do is I can levy my platform.
Correct.
I can levy relationships with people. And to what degree that federal funds come into state, which I do have an issue with, because if we depend on federal funds, then we're not budgeting right. That means we have the same budgetary problems that the federal government has.
But we're also giving up our sovereignty. And here's the thing.
Because everything comes with a price.
Correct. And oh, by the way, just in case you people didn't know, the federal government takes the federal taxes out of your paycheck. It goes up to Washington, D.C., gets money laundered all over the place, in, out, in, out.
Loses power as it goes up.
Exactly.
Because that's a bureaucrat all the way up the ladder and all the way back down the ladder.
Yep. When it comes back down to the state, it's still your money, my money, your money.
Yep.
Except there's a lot of strings attached. And they're giving back our own money that they took and charging for it, whether it's strings attached or monetarily, you'll pay this back. So here we have a bunch of people that are saying, yeah, we're getting federal money. That's free money. No, it's not. It came out of your paycheck.
Yeah.
Why don't people understand this?
It's robbing Peter to pay Paul.
It is.
In reality, it's robbing Peter to pay Peter a nickel of what you stole from them.
Exactly.
And we beg for that nickel like we're starving for it. Now, I say elect people who are going to tax you less and leave the dollar in your pocket.
Correct.
Elect
Let me
people who are going
decide.
to allow
Let you
liberty,
decide. Yeah.
liberty, accountability, limited government. It's
Very limited
amazing that you
government.
have so many people who hate liberty. They want all this woke ridiculousness. I mean, if you really like government that much and you want to engage
live
in
in
all this
Cuba.
woke,
Go to Russia, go to
self-hating
China.
craziness, you know what? Stare in the mirror. You know, all these guys, they can go stare in the mirror at home and you can say, "Gee, you're a dirty girl." Just punish yourself. Why do you need us to do it? Why do I got to be punished with you?
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
hate your life so much, Cuba will be welcome. They
love to
they
have
would
you.
love to have you.
Yeah.
China would love to have more people to subjugate. I
Exactly.
mean, they're trying to take over the rest of the world. They declared people's war on the United States in 2019. They're engaged in unrestricted warfare, and then we're still pretending as if they're a trading
they're a trading partner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I find it fun. Well, I'm not going to go there because we're not going to go there.
And then we got the genocide games going on.
Oh, of course we do. We get our masks from China. We get the PCR tests from China.
We only went
get-
to war with the Nazis over this, and then we got a regime that's literally doing quite everything
exactly
that the
the same
Nazis have
thing.
done.
And then we send our athletes over there.
And
you
didn't
know
we
what?
sign a treaty saying that we were going to stop this type of stuff worldwide?
I thought we did.
Yeah, it was
it's
kind
funny
of a thing.
that little treaty thing, you know. All right, let's go on to your passion. All gun control is racist. What do you mean by that?
I'm a huge Second Amendment guy, and one of my friends
and
is
predicate
Mod's
that
Torah.
by a lot of people say that, but they're not.
Yeah. That
So
means
tell us the whole-
no red flag laws.
There you
that
go.
means, hey, you know what? You want to have 30 ARs? Have 30 ARs. I know gun collectors, they only fire one gun at once. I'd like to see you fire 5.
Yeah.
It would be
Not like,
impressive,
you know,
honestly.
tossing plates.
Yeah. I'm like, but most of the gun laws are superficial. Most of them are superficial. They change.
you feel good.
They're based on how a gun looks. Now they're starting to get in, and they realize how stupid that is. So they start to get into changing the functionality of weapons and starting to ban them based on how they function. Now, the problem with this is most people go, well, no one should have a semi-automatic rifle or a semi-automatic weapon. I go, semi-automatic weapon, you know that's your pistol, your Saturday night special that you take out when you walk through the tree streets.
Yeah.
Like that's your Saturday night special. Your grandma's one that she has in case somebody breaks in
Yep,
your house,
that's a
semi-automatic.
semi-automatic.
Like most weapons that we have are semi-automatic.
Yep.
So you're talking about banning everything except single-shot weapons.
Right.
That
Let's go.
you want to
talk about
defend
going
your house with a
backwards.
muzzle
Yeah,
a muzzle
loader. Yeah.
Like hey, if you could do it, by all means. But the issue that we have here is now during the last year, 2 years, we've had the largest Second Amendment enfranchisement in generations. And the guy who runs this organization, Maj Toure, he's the reason for it. He goes around into inner cities all over the country, primarily Black and Hispanic neighborhoods, and he teaches them weapons safety, their rights, property rights, how to hold a firearm, what you can and can't do, proper de-escalation, what your responsibility is as a gun owner, how to properly store it so that your kids don't get it, all of it. Because owning a gun is very much a responsibility,
Absolutely.
regardless of whether you're an enthusiast, a collector, so on and so forth.
It's a job. You have to know all the ins and outs about it. You got to know the safety. You've got to know, how to store it, when you can use, like you said, what the laws are, and you should have insurance.
Yeah. And the origins of all gun control is racist is because the first gun laws in the country were created to stop slaves, freedmen, from being able to fight back against the Klan or to seek repercussions against their previous slave owners. And if you notice, the largest demographic in which gun laws are enacted are on those very same minorities today. And deep, deep blue cities where they hate liberty. Now, the funny thing is, these people have to deal with criminals and criminal activity on a daily basis in their neighborhood. Now, I don't want to predicate this on the entire Black community being poor and living in the ghetto,
Right.
because 63% of the Black community live in middle-class neighborhoods and stuff and do not live in the ghetto. But that percentage that you see, now it's interesting because media perspectives are everything. So what you see pushed on the news, or you see the gang violence, you see degrading hip hop, you see TikTok thoughts walking around twerking everywhere. That's not the reality of the community on a day-to-day basis, because we have doctors, lawyers, scholars. There are a myriad of people like me who just live our day-to-day lives, and
It's no
we do
different
not
than
get
anybody
highlighted.
else.
Yeah, we don't get highlighted.
No.
Look, the same media who's run by Democrats, the same media run by the far left, somehow took every modern family off TV, modern black family led by a strong black man off TV.
Yes, they did.
And these very same activists said that black men are the white supremacists of black people. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I know. Could you say that one more time slowly?
Yeah.
It's insanity. They're
It's
crossing
crazy.
at the mouth. It's literally, people say word salad.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about with word salad.
Everything's racist, everything's this, everything's that. And I just look at it like, no. There are things that are actually racist. Like racism is a sliding scale. You have on one end, you have passive ignorance. And on the opposite end, you have active malice.
Right.
You have active ignorance, and you have then you have passive malice. As you start to transition that scale, which is what the left is trying to accomplish right now, they're trying to transition everyone down that scale so that we destroy ourselves. Because like 99% of people are on passive ignorance. We say stupid stuff because we don't understand each other. We don't understand each other's culture. And black people say stuff about white people say stuff about black people, Asian people, Hispanic. We're all guilty of engaging in stereotypes because we have a lack of personal experience with each other.
Which the government, which the politicians love to escalate. They love to light a fire underneath it.
Because if we're all divided, we can't hold them accountable.
Exactly. And
very same guy had a statement. He said, whether it's MAGA or whether it's BLM, if you notice their original issue before the media convinced us to fight each other was both with the government. Right. MAGA wanted limited government. BLM came out about policing, how the police were being weaponized against them in these inner cities. Ferguson, they were using the police. They had unfunded pension liabilities and used the police as a tax arm against the citizens. When you're levying fines for stuff that ought not to be laws in the first place.
Correct.
And this is why I'm saying that when you have stuff like Biden's 94 crime bill, locking people up for 20 years for possession. You have Kamala Harris, who made a career out of locking up black men and Hispanic men
for the smallest
possession.
infraction.
But yet the drug dealers are still out on the street.
Well,
the big boys are still out there pushing it.
Look at the southern border.
So you got a guy walking down the street with a dime bag in his pocket so that he can smoke a joint when he gets home. And you lock him up for a decade.
But we're not going to lock up the guy that's cutting everything with fentanyl and killing people left, and center and selling to kids.
Over the border because we want a sanctuary city instead. And it's not just about the votes and these people becoming citizens. It's about changing the culture. Because if you have a mass influx of people who are not germane to that culture, there is a cultural shift that takes place. And it is not a white culture, it's not a black culture, it's American culture, which is a conglomerate of every culture that has built this country to what it is. And when you bring in a mass genesis of immigrants, illegals, from other countries, I don't care whether it's Ukraine, Ireland, France,
Saudi Arabia,
based on what's going on in Canada right now, I don't even want the Canadians coming down here. I want us to figure out our own problems
and fix our own problems. And it needs to be from the ground up. We need to be going and testifying. You have to get over this. You need to be going to your deliberative meetings and taking on the moderators head to head.
And don't tell me you want to watch the game or you don't have enough time or you had a long day. You want to save the country or you don't.
Exactly. Do you want to have food on the shelves, or do you want them to continue to disappear? Do the bank's closing? Oh no, you can only go to the bank if you have an appointment. That's my money in your bank, and I have access to when. Nope. You got to make an appointment. And if you notice, there's only one or two people working. There's only.
We're in a scary situation right now.
We are in a pretty scary situation.
I feel like we're right back in the Tea Party movement, where the movement got taken over. There are tons of people all over the country that ran on America First MAGA agenda.
Where are they?
135 of them voted for red flag laws. 135.
Yep.
And I bet you if you look at the list, you'll see your favorite MAGA candidate on there.
Oh, absolutely.
You know why?
We can't trust them.
It's because they're all politicians. They rubbed elbows to get to where they are. They don't have life experience outside of politics.
Correct.
Here's my background. Homeland Security, anti-terrorism, behavioral psychology, small business owner. I've been poor. My mom was an alcoholic. My parents are divorced. I grew up with a single mother. I've lived in the ghetto. I've lived in 48 states. I've been to 30 countries so far. I served the United States Marine Corps. I'm a disabled veteran. I was a homeless veteran when I got out of the Marine Corps. In 10 years, I managed to be a small business owner living back here in my home state. I can do anything I want to do.
Absolutely.
The level of life experience that I have.
That's what
I'm
we
the
need.
second oldest person in the race, which is amazing.
So the race that you're running for is CD1,
Yep.
and that's in Nashua.
Oh no,
It's
Seacoast all the way to
Right.
Manchester, Merrimack, Bedford, all the way up to Guilford.
Yep, that's what I meant to say. I for some reason I always think CD1 and CD2 is just Nashua, and then I say that and I'm like, no.
But there's as big of a primary in you guys too right now.
Correct.
You guys got like 6 candidates as well.
It's amazing how many people are running, but we're not hearing much about them because of what's going on in the world,
Well,
and that's really, really sad.
This is the problem. And Chris Pappas and Maggie Hassan just made the news. They were just being criticized on SiriusXM Patriot today.
Awesome.
David Webb is a friend, and he was laying into them because they've betrayed the state.
Yes.
So let's talk solutions.
Hang
I
on.
want each piece
what
of
we'll
legislation.
do is let's go for a quick break and let's talk about solutions.
All right, let's
We'll
do
come
it.
back because let's talk about solutions over politics.
Yep.
Let's talk about how do we get to the bottom of this and figure out, we, the people, where do we start so that we can reach up, push you up where you need to be, where we want you to be, so we can all have a conversation.
No, it's not about me, it's about America.
Well, America, but you know what I mean? You're going to go fight for America. We want to help you fight for America, but we also want to know what it is that should be happening for America, not what we're being told.
Exactly.
Not what the upper level echelon is saying, well, this is what you don't understand. We have to do this and we have to do that. So let's come back in a minute or so, and let's talk about solutions, and let's talk about specific problems and what you would do, because you are running. You do have all this experience, and let's let the audience know exactly what we should be asking you and the candidates.
All right.
We'll be right back with Chit Chatting with Jocelyn. And we're back. This is Chit Chatting with Jocelyn, and my guest is Julian, and he is running for CD1. Welcome back to the show. We're going to continue this conversation of solutions, not politics. Solutions, not politicians. We need real people. We need people with your kind of experience. We don't need more lawyers. We don't need more slick talking, people slip sliding their way, promising things that they shouldn't be promising, saying that they can, grant every wish that we could possibly want, which is an out and out lie.
Believe it or not, I actually heard somebody on the campaign trail say that they were going to ban the Department of Education. Now I'm sitting here going, wow, intellectually, I tend to agree with you. Like, I actually do agree with that.
The Department of Education is not
but you can't actually do
ban
that.
it, right.
Like,
it would
you can't do that, not to mention, I know for a fact the majority of Republicans in D.C. do not agree with you.
Right.
And that's the issue of promising stuff that you say you're going to do, but you can't do.
Right.
Like, yeah, I can blow smoke up your butt and say that I'm going to universally ban abortion. I can't actually get that done.
Right.
And I know I can't get it done because I know where everyone else in D.C. stands.
Well, it's
this
also
is an
the
issue that's brought up quite a bit.
Right. The fact that, everybody is, if Roe versus Wade gets reversed at the Supreme Court, it goes back to the state, and then the states decide.
Which is where it should have been.
Right. Which is what, people say, I'm going to go to Washington and we're going to. No, you're not, because we still have state sovereignty. sovereignty. It's pretty, it's pretty watered down, and people
And
don't seem to understand
passing a
it.
federal law would create a precedent, which means you're actually growing the power of the federal government.
Yep.
It's not a good thing. If we're trying to get back to the Constitution, growing the power of the federal government is going in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
Now, in general, I understand getting a win today in order to rack up a win tomorrow. If you're moving in the direction of liberty, getting rid of red flag laws today is a step in the right direction. Getting rid of the NFA tomorrow, step in the right direction. Getting rid of the ATF's ability to whole cloth redefine the language of what is a rifle, what is a pistol, and all that. What is a brace? What is a butt stock? That gets rid of a lot of their legislative ability overnight. And that's the difference between being a kid and uttering talking points and being an adult and looking at how to actually solve the problem.
And having the actual life experience of actually putting your life on the line, actually having to deal with those exact.
It also helps that I'm a historian, so I read policy, and I'm a nerd for politics. I mean, my parents gave me a classical education and knew I wasn't going to get it in school. So what they do? They gave me Aristotle, and I read it. I read more Greek mythology before, like Greek and Roman mythology, governments, the Medici, Meditations on Marcus Aurelius. I read it, a lot of stuff before I'd even graduated middle school.
That's amazing.
And then in high school, I'm like, oh wow, some of the stuff.
What's next?
Some of the stuff is required reading. I already passed that.
I've already done that. I can move on.
But the problem that we have is we have too many people. Everything that the Founding Fathers had, they had an old school classical education.
Correct.
We have focused so much on liberal arts, and it's been so watered down over time that we're talking more about how to get an education than we are talk about
getting
retaining
an education,
knowledge, which is education is the pure, unbridled acquisition of knowledge. Instruction is only a small part of it. It's
well,
only
that's
a
how you
singular
get
method.
that information to that person,
Well, it's
that
only a
knowledge
single
to
method,
that person,
because
right? And there's many,
you could
many
get a
ways.
library card. What was it? Goodwill Hunting. You paid what, $100,000, $160,000. I got a library card. Hey, the fact is that's what people need, is they need to go out and proactively gain knowledge, and kids need to be approached from different angles. In New Hampshire, we have so many different education programs, so many different non-government schools.
Correct.
It's not public schools, it's government schools. Which means the government, amazing so many people don't know civics. Maybe it's because the government is teaching you civics, and civics is the science of how to hold government accountable. That's where you learn all your rights.
That's why they're not teaching it. And yet, funny enough, it it is supposed to be taught in New Hampshire, and there is a test to be taken to hold everybody accountable and transparency that you are teaching proper civics to high school students.
Most adults don't understand the gap between how government's supposed to work and how it actually works. And that's where we get into problems. That's why we elect people who constantly manipulate us and abuse us.
Right. I think that I say it over and over and over again, and it can't be repeated enough, that there's three branches of government. He's like, oh yeah, I know that, because it's about all they're taught at school. But you have the executive branch, which is the president at the federal level. It's the governor at the state level. Yeah. You've got the legislative branch. You have the Congress and the Senate at the federal level, and you have the same in your state level, the legislative. Then you have the judicial branch, which the federal government has a Supreme Court, and so does every state. That's something people don't know. We have a Supreme Court in the state of New Hampshire, and
then you have your county superior courts and stuff as well.
Correct.
And the problem is that people don't understand. Judges don't make law. They're supposed to look at the Constitution, read it, not based on today's language,
correct,
not based on what they wish it said, but based on what the words meant at the time in which they were written.
Correct.
Because words have meaning. Each and every word has a specific place. That's why when you read the documents, you need to read them in the context of the time in which they were written, which is
Correct.
that old English. It's very romantic and sexy. I wish people still talk like that.
Yeah, at least you
but
know what they were saying because they've changed so many definitions.
Shall was a
Shall is
definitive.
you will, that's it, no ifs, ands, or buts, not sometimes on Sunday, you shall. And if you read
shall
the
not in the Ten
means-
Commandments too, that it shall not.
Shall not.
It's,
Yeah, there's
it's
no
there
difference.
quite a bit. So people need to read it as that. This is an absolute. The problem is everything when we have a professional politician class and they all come from the legal background
Mm-hmm.
or from the punditry background. Everything is malleable to these people
Correct.
because everything is a theoretical argument. The problem that we have with our political class is when you're battling all these theoretical arguments, it's a battle of who has the better theoretical argument, not how you can apply this theoretical argument to the reality that we live in, which is the issue. Do you want intellectual purity, which is often some fantasy land, the anarchist libertarian utopia where there's no government and everyone's free to do whatever? That doesn't exist, and it's never going to exist because you
because we're
can't.
human.
Yeah,
It's not going to happen.
like a person flat out told me that they abhor guns and they're a pacifist and they believe in an anarchist society. I go,
After you stop laughing.
I was like,
Wait
I was
a
like,
minute.
hold up, I must have smoked something because I could have sworn you just said that you are a pacifist and you hate guns and you
you're
want an
not
anarchist society.
this
First
is
off,
the hypocrisy
a
of our- of
pacifist
our
is not a
world.
person who is weak and scared of committing violence.
No, it's a person that knows
is
when.
capable of violence and refuses not to.
Correct.
They
You
choose
exhaust
the right time.
all
Other options.
options before you end up with that. That's like when people start talking the militia.
Like I'm a pacifist. I don't want war. I don't want
Of course not, because you know what it is.
Exactly.
You've been there. You've done that,
What
actually.
I want is I want us to solve the problems the right way. If we're going to say that the Constitution needs to be amended in order to solve loopholes or clarify things,
Then let's have a convention and let's put up
Convention of
amendments.
States.
And,
Let's do
and
it.
let's, we the people vote on it.
Yeah.
Not the government, not the legislature. The legislature can bring it forth, but it still is we the people that vote and decide.
Congress has the worst satisfaction rating. And it's because the system is built on people getting there, staying there, and creating
Status
more
quo.
power for themselves.
Yeah.
The issue.
Well, they're spreading the swamp, and they've done a real good job at spreading the swamp all over, and it's pretty darn thick and it's pretty darn wide, and it's time that we just break
want a
open
real
the bleach.
solution? Let's get bills back to single issue bills.
Thank you.
Let's
I
get
was
them
just
to a
gonna say that.
restricted amount of pages.
Yep.
Like say 100 pages.
If
If
that.
you can't get a bill written in 100 pages,
Then
you're obviously broadening the scope of government to an area in which it doesn't need to be. If you
I say it should be
make
under.
it
10, I think
finite-
it should be under 10 pages. Sorry, I think it should be 10 pages, single items. This pork belly.
Well, a lot of it is
and-
defining the words and the terms and stuff that they
Right,
use in it.
I
So
understand that, but
there's
there
a
should
lot of
still
index.
be a We the People 10-page version, and then for those that want to go into it and get into all the little bits and pieces,
But
and
all legislation should be available to citizens 30 days prior to a vote in their full text
To the
as they're being
people.
voted upon.
so we know what they. So we
And
can
I mean
talk to
each
our
time they're being
candidates.
voted.
Oh, I agree.
Exactly.
I should if
You should be able to lobby me.
that's my. I
Like,
should be able to
I
call
should
you
be
up
able to
and
see
say,
the-
Julian,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't like what's on page 6 and blah blah blah, and this word is used incorrectly and blah blah blah, and I think this, and I think there's a little loophole in there, and that's letting you
That
guys
way,
in.
you know what poison pills are in the legislation.
you
no
know
more of this.
that we're
you
paying
gotta
attention.
Pass it to see what's in it, and no more of these 6,000 page bills that you
night
got to vote
before.
on the night before. No one can read 6,000 pages. I don't care how big your team is. You're not reading 6,000 pages.
Well, and
in a
you
night.
don't know it. You could have a team of 6,000, but you don't know it, Julian.
Exactly. And I
Your
need to
team
know what
knows
I'm
it.
voting on. I'm the one who's being held accountable. Staffers, they move from congressman to congressman to congressman, from administration to administration.
Yep. Which is
I'm the
another
one
problem.
who's-
I think they should.
It is.
I think that the administration should be cleaned out, wiped clean. Nope, you don't get to come back. Same as I think there should be term limits, and I know a lot of people go against me for that. There should be term limits. There's term limits for the president. So I think
this
there
is
should
why we
be
need
term
to-
limits.
I
all
signed
the
the
time.
term limits pledge.
Good for you.
I'm a huge fan of it. I don't want to be in D.C. I like wearing my hoodie and my jeans and my Timbs and shooting my guns. And I like having bonfires and drinking beer in my backyard. I love classic cars. And I just don't want to be in D.C. It is expensive down there. A cup of coffee is like $15.
What?
It's ridiculous.
Really?
Everything in D.C.
I
is
thought
expensive.
Starbucks was expensive.
It's super expensive. And I don't like the condescension with my coffee. Like, you're a barista. Just give me my damn coffee.
Yeah, can I
That's
have a
why
large?
I like Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
They just, all right, like an assembly line. Just come on, here's your coffee, go.
There
now,
you go.
I wish they get my coffee right more often.
That would be nice. It'd be nice
But
if it was hot.
a solution would be for us to be able to read legislation, lobby our politicians.
So
And if
one
it's
of
a
your
national,
Yep.
but I want a caveat, because if it's a national security issue, like say we might have to, you're okaying an airstrike by an executive,
Mm-hmm.
which I do believe there needs to be some leeway for an executive to act when he can't convene Congress.
Correct.
It's also why you have the arms committee. That's why you have the intel committee, so on and so forth. Which I want to sit on the intel committee. It would be nice to have people who've actually held a military secret clearance or above to sit on the committee, where obviously we have two gentlemen in particular who can't handle intelligence in an intelligent manner. You got Adam Schiff being shifty and misusing the skiff, and then you got Eric Swalwell who's sleeping with spies,
With
and yet he
Chinese
still
spies.
still holds his seat. Nobody would be able to keep their clearance after that. So I think that is
Well,
a
what's good
logical
for the
step
goose
in
is
the
good
right
for the
direction.
gander. What's good for the military should be the real military,
You should
not the
actu-
woke military, the real military.
You should actually be. You have to be able to hold a clearance, that same clearance, in civilian
And when you
life.
leave that job, the clearance is gone. Bye-bye.
Yeah. You
No,
should
no
not,
taking it with you.
You should not
and
be
no
able to
coming back
monetize your
either.
clearance when you walk out of the service.
agree.
You should not be able to have the clearance that you would not be able to possess in civilian life just because you're a congressperson.
I agree.
No, you're unqualified for this position. I don't care who you paid off. I don't care whose butt you kissed. You don't deserve that seat. When we make these committees, it should be people, it should be professionals related to the field. You should have a focused knowledge in at least the area that you're on the committee for.
So
like Byron Donalds is a finance guy. Go figure, he should be on a finance committee. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm a military guy. I look at intel. I look at battle strategy stuff. Being on armed service committee, being on intel committee.
Intel is where you should be.
Exactly.
Use your gifts, use your expertise. But what are they doing? We're looking at, little Miss Piglosi there, and she's putting her favorite little, to shut them up. She's got the squad on all these committees that they have no freaking clue that they're being fed information from someone else. So that is not their knowledge. That is not what they know.
We also need to stop insider trading while you're in office.
Well, what was the latest that
Kevin McCarthy just said he was
this
going
one
to.
said? I mean, people that talk like this really need to be retired.
Yeah. Kevin McCarthy said he's all on board with it. Now, my issue is, okay, but just know, I'm going to hold you to that because that's part of my platform is stopping insider trading. I'm not okay
she
with
wants
insider
to-
trading. You should not possess the ability to trade while you are currently serving in office.
Correct.
And it needs to be in a trust or whatever, but you can't.
Well, they do that
actively
to the
trade.
president. Why is it not for the Senate and the Congress? Why is no one in the government?
Because why would somebody vote restrictions on themselves? See, I have no problem restricting myself to being honest because I'm an honest individual. It doesn't affect
But when
me.
they don't like it, that's the first red flag. Speaking of red flags,
And I
that's a
think-
real red flag that they should not.
And I think
should
I'm
not
a
be
pretty
serving.
intelligent individual. I think I'd be pretty decent at trading regardless of whether I'm in office or not.
Or not.
I'll need inside information.
No, and that, who was it? The lady that went to jail for that.
Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart.
Yep.
I was thinking Mary, from Mary Stewart.
I'd like to hang out with Martha Stewart. I'd like to hang out with her and Snoop Dogg and Joe Rogan so we could all smoke and have a conversation. I think
to
that'd
have
be a hell of a-
conversations with real people. But I think, your solution to one bill, don't pad it, don't load them up, no paybacks.
Single issue legislation.
Single issue, I think-
provided to the people, easy to read.
Yep.
And you know what? If you have a national security instance, 72 hours.
Yep. And I think the other
Targeted, plain language, provide to the people 72 hours.
the other thing
we're
I'd
going
like
to
to
war,
see. Oh, wait, my
make
head
it-
went out
make it-
again. What was I was going to say? Shoot.
I want term limits.
Yeah,
I
term
want
limits,
I
yeah.
want an amendment. I also want a
Oh, money. If X amount of money is being spent, or being, the legislature says they want to spend X amount of money, if it's over, say, $50,000, I think they have to.
I think everything needs to be itemized.
I do, and I
Needs to be
think they need to
itemized.
ask permission because it's our money. I really
Like,
do.
I loved seeing Devin Nunes and Trey Gowdy read off all the ridiculous crap that
I
we're
used to
spending
do
money
that
on.
5 years ago.
I love seeing that because
Yep.
it's like, wait a minute, you spend how much money on this? And
They
you're
had
like,
$1 million
office furniture?
on what the worst one was $1 million, $1.5 million on alligators and crocodiles on a treadmill. They spent $1 million on goldfish, putting two bowls next to each other with a goldfish in each to see how many times they kissed. I swear, that is what they are spending money on. Your money
This
on,
is
my
crazy
money on.
because this is like pothead stuff. This is like high school pothead stuff. Like, dude, let's put this stuff together and see if they kiss, man. And they'll sit, you can smoke. Like, you don't have to spend millions of dollars on that. You could buy a couple guys a couple bowls of weed or give them a bong or whatever and let them, they'll
Say,
watch it.
can you do this
They'll do
scientific
this
research for me?
They'll do it
Yeah.
for hours.
You know, the other thing I want to see is that people are, if they're fired from a job, especially a government job, that they are charged, prosecuted equally to any of us. And if they're a traitor and they've committed treason or any such thing against the United States, they go to Gitmo.
Now, actual treason, though, because
Actual
I
treason.
want this to be very clear. This
Okay.
subjective, this is an
We throw the word
insurrection,
around a
this
lot,
isn't
yep.
an insurrection, this is treason, this isn't treason. When the other side says that it's treason, everyone jumps to defend their favorite guy. When when the other side does something that we think is treason, we jump to attack them. It is a defined term. We need to stick to the definition of things. And this is why I have a gripe with pundits. They gin up controversy because it gets them clicks, likes, shares, retweets, and ratings. And
Which leads to
all of our politicians, if
Do
you
the same
notice,
thing.
they all sound like pundits on TV. When you could see a politician and a pundit go back and forth and you're like, man,
difference.
I don't know what you guys said, but I absolutely agree with all of it. You've been lied to. You should universally agree with nobody. I don't care how much you like me. Don't vote for me because you like me. Don't donate to me because you like me. Read my policy.
Can I vote for you if we have a beer together?
Yeah.
Okay. No, you're supposed to say no.
Only if we're.
Because that's what people are doing.
I don't know. 'Cause
I'd have a beer with him, so he must be a good guy.
Well, there's a lot of people I'd have a beer with that I wouldn't vote for.
Yeah.
And this is the issue. Read my policy. Understand what I stand for. Understand my background and where I'm looking at things. I care about solving the problem. And I mean, when I say solve the problem, I don't mean today. I mean long term.
Right.
Which means
Baby
incremental steps in that direction. Sometimes you can take a leap and you can
Sometimes you
solve
can't.
it tomorrow. Sometimes you got to take a 10-year look at things. Look at the Chinese. They had a 100-year plan. And they're about to do it in 75 because they looked long term while we were looking short term.
How everybody could, get the quick fix.
The Democrats did the same thing. FDR had his plan. Marx had his plan. Why is it these people are constantly progressing? And we're so dead set on maintaining the status quo. Conservatism doesn't mean we stay stagnant.
Nope.
It means
And
we
doesn't
move
mean-
forward with reverence towards our past. The
Because
only
history
thing we're-
counts, because it repeats
Exactly.
itself over and over and
The
over
only thing
again.
we're supposed to be doing is being a conservative does not mean platform planks. It means conservation of the Constitution, the Republic, and the inalienable rights of individuals to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yep.
Our platform planks fall under that. And if it doesn't fall under that, we need to get rid of it.
Yep.
Principles are that target point. They're stagnant, they're tried and true throughout history. The conservative movement is aiming at those. America First is a realization of a populist realization of the movement aiming towards that goal and refusing to back down. That is what it is.
We're not gonna
And
side
there's
shuffle.
this misunderstanding of what Trump was. Trump was the guy that kicks in the door. He's the breacher. Now we're in the room and we're not backing down.
Correct.
We're going full bore. We're going to get back to the Constitution. We're going to save the country. And I just want people to be able to live their own lives without being molested by government. You want to identify as a dude? Fine. That's okay, Bob.
But don't make me accept it. Don't make me change my life and say, well, okay, you are. Okay, fine. Live your life as a dude or whatever you want to do.
Wear a dress, change your name. I don't care. I'll even refer to you as Bob and as him.
Yeah.
Because I was raised with personal respect.
Correct.
So it's not bashing you gains nothing for me. But you're not going into the bathroom with my daughter. And you're not wrestling with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That's my issue. Is we can give people respect without agreeing with every decision that they make.
Yep.
We can also give people respect without going into the ridiculousness.
Let me ask you one question before we go. The absolutely astronomical, huge amount of sex trafficking and child trafficking.
It's ridiculous.
People have no idea. It's not a little porno.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and preemptively Ghislaine Maxwell didn't kill herself.
Yep. What would you, I know it's a very complicated and it's a big issue, but what would be your first step?
We need an immigration moratorium for 5 years. I have an immigration plan on my page.
Okay.
A lot of people are sex trafficked over the southern border.
Yep.
Quite a few are stolen from people within our country.
Correct.
We have a serious problem with these crimes being reported. Now, I'm not going to say the reality is there are people who sell their children into these as well. On principle, I'm not really. It's a hard issue to try and tackle.
But I think
And
we have to
it's trying to
strengthen the
tackle-
laws, and we have the people that.
My issue is that the people who are responsible never get held accountable.
Correct.
You have so many wealthy people that get away with stuff because they're wealthy.
Yep.
Why is it that Jeffrey Epstein case happened behind closed doors? Why was evidence kept out of the public eye? Why is that list of people not being
Released from Ghislaine, all those people that paid her that she went to.
Why
I
is
think
it
that
these
has to be
people are
opened.
allowed plea deals
No.
where we can't see what they've done?
Correct. And like I said, I think you're right. An
pretty sure the
immigration
people
moratorium,
who did it-
close our borders.
Now, the reason why is because the richest people on the damn planet were on that damn list.
Yes, they were.
That is a long
And they're being
list.
protected. Wow. So tell everybody how they can reach out to you, how they can contact you, what they can do, how they can donate.
Well, go
you
to
with
my
your-
go to my website, Julian, the number 4, nh.com. And it's not about me, it's about us. Go, read my policy before you donate, see what I stand for, my background, everything before you donate. Go ahead and give me a call, shoot me an email. I'll chat with you. We could drink a beer together and hang out.
Where are you doing any events?
Well, I will be going to the Dairy VFW after this with Don Bolduc.
Yay,
tonight.
General Bolduc.
Yeah, General is, Don's my guy.
He's my
Don's
guy
my
too.
guy. I need him in D.C. because I know there's no misstep between us understanding each other. That if I'm fighting in the House for something, I know he's got it in the Senate.
Correct.
And while I don't have a problem with primaries and stuff, the way that this primary started was so wrong.
Absolutely.
So wrong.
I agree.
Me and Don started back in January.
Yep. You guys declared a long time ago.
We started
and
in
you've not,
January of last year.
Of last
And
year.
we
Oh,
did
yeah.
We did it the right way. We got down on the ground. We were working on voter integrity, actually working on voter integrity, not running ads about it, not
Not talking
showboating,
points.
not taking pictures and making videos. We were doing the work.
Yep.
We're doing the work.
And I know that because I started a year ago too.
Yeah.
With Marilyn Todd, and we have got to make sure that these machines are gone. We need to hold everybody accountable, and we follow the Constitution, which says the moderator, the town clerk, and the selectmen and/or council people will
the
count
realization
the
is-
votes. Shall count the votes.
The realization is that does mean that we are going to have to flip blue areas where these machines are. That means we got to flip Concord, Nashua. We're going to have to
Manchester.
flip Manchester. And these are hard areas to win, which means we have to speak differently.
agree.
Solutions over politics. The rhetoric that we use on the right, the lingo and colloquialisms are different than on the left. You approach people where they are, not where you want them to be.
I like it. All right, you come back again?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I love it. So there you have it, Julian, CD1, and that is Julian, the number 4, nh.com. Find out what he's all about. Go to Dairy tonight. Go hang out with Don Bolduc, hang out with Julian. Find out what it's about. Talk to your neighbors. Get into the thick of it. Know what's going on. Don't let anybody tell you what you should do or know or say. Vote your conscience. Vote for the Constitution and vote for America. I'll see you next time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.